We also have joining us today Carol Randall here. Well, for me, you're top left. I don't know where you are for everybody else. Carol is on the SIRPA's membership board, and she's joined us today just as a co-host, just in case. And Sarah Massey, who's one of our SIRPA practitioners, who was keen to join us. So we'll just carry on waiting while we wait for other people to join. I think because we've got so many this time, I thought what might be best is actually doing a short presentation, because I know some people are quite new to SIRPA. So if I just do a very brief overview of SIRPA and the courses and the membership, and I will answer a few questions, some of the more common questions that I think probably every webinar we run, people ask them. So I'll cover those, and then we can open it up. So if I haven't answered any questions you've got, then we'll probably do the remote, the reaction hands up, and then people can do that. Now, obviously, we tend not to have everybody who's booked, but we've only got half so far. So if you don't mind, we'll just hang around just for a minute or two, and then we'll get going. And just to let you know, we are recording this for those people who can't attend. So just so you know, I don't think it's any real personal stuff that's going to come up here, but just in case, just so you know that we are recording this. Okay, I think while we're waiting, what I might do is share my screen so that we actually have the, I can get my presentation up. Slideshow from the beginning. There we go. And I can see some of you. Carol, I can't now see the waiting room. So if you're happy to just keep an eye on that and let people in. But also in the meantime, if anybody would like to, it'd be interesting just to see what profession you are. In fact, I might just stop sharing for a little bit. If you want to put in the chat box what profession you are, that would be really helpful for me, or interesting for me, to know what you are. And presume you all have... there you are. So Caroline started it off, psychotherapist. Thank you, Caroline. That's a name I recognise. Okay, great. So we've got another physio who also does Pilates as well. Another physio. We've got lots of osteopaths. So although we have within our practitioners, we were trained over 500 now, we have a lot of physios and osteopaths, but we also have a lot of complementary therapists. We have some doctors, and like you, Faye, we've got quite a few who are semi-retired. We've got some people who go between the NHS and do private work because it's quite hard fitting it all into, especially an NHS doctor's appointment. 10 minutes is not very long. But that's interesting, Linda. Therapist, coach, and climate psychologist. Okay, and Jen, yes, hello, Jen, soon to be a trainee coach right at the beginning of this journey. And we do tend to have a lot of people who have gone through this journey themselves, and then when they've recovered, they want to share it. And so we have a lot of people where that's the case. And the quickest way is usually, especially when they're coming from a non-health professional background, the quickest way is usually to do a coaching qualification, which is what you're doing, aren't you, Jen? Okay, so I think what we'll do is I will share my screen again. Oh, wait a minute. Do you know what? I've got the... what we're talking about, the screen on the wrong one. So the actual, let me share that screen. That should help. Okay, so it's on my second screen, but that's okay because I could just look at my first one. So can you all see the first slide, basically? Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I just want to give you an overall awareness. I might quickly show you the sales page where you can find even more information. Much of the information, some of the questions that I put here are on that sales page, but there's a lot of information, and I know it's no surprise that people actually miss some of that, and some of it's right at the bottom under the frequently asked questions, and some are linked through as well. So I'm going to cover things, but if there's anything I've missed or any more information you need, then just let me know. But let's just give it a start. And this is basically, I've added on to a short presentation I did in London last May when we had our, was it 4th or 5th conference, Carol? I can't remember, but we had our conference in, I think we had 2015, 17, 22 and 25, so our 4th. And I did this at the end, just giving a brief introduction to SIRPA and our courses and our membership. So this was a photo from the 2022 conference where we managed to get everybody up on stage. I think it was at lunchtime, actually. So all our members and people who trained with SIRPA, those who'd attended the conference, all came up so that we could actually have a photo of everybody, and it was wonderful. These are really good opportunities for people to get together. It can be quite isolating working in this field on our own, which is why as I go through this, you'll see just how many peer options for opportunities for peer support that we actually have. So I'm just looking, actually, has it moved on to the second slide?
No, it hasn't.
No. That's interesting. Why is it not moved on? Let me get my keyboard. Okay, this is odd. Okay, so I'm going to click on the other screen. Right. Let me get rid of that one. Okay, so this is the photo I was trying to explain then. So where we all got up, everybody up together at the 2022 conference. And it's one of the, we usually have, coming on to this later, but opportunities for people to get together to meet face-to-face as well as online. And this is one of our opportunities. We have another opportunity in March when we're having our 2-day masterclass with Howard Shubin, who's coming over from the States. And that sold out pretty quickly. And that's going to be in Manchester, and I have no doubt we will be doing another one with him. There's no doubt about that. So, SIRPA's approach to neuroplastic symptoms. Basically, as I said, we're going to sort of just go through this quickly. We are integrating, I don't know, now I can't see everybody now, but how many of you watched the Channel 4 documentary? I believe some people have come because they saw that. And they specifically focused about pain reprocessing therapy. And what we do is within our SIRPA approach, we integrate the pain reprocessing concept. We also integrate emotional awareness and expression, which is another specific therapy that, and the reason the pain reprocessing therapy was focused on was because of the studies that have been done on that over the last 5 years. So within SIRPA's training, we actually integrate pain reprocessing, emotional awareness and expression, and many other evidence-based therapies, because what we wanted to do was really not focus on one, but actually to really try and cover the full range of factors that basically influence symptom persistence and recovery. So we have a comprehensive approach, and we include various other things. Can't go into it all now, but you know, so self-compassion, my brain just gone blank, visualization, meditation, mindfulness, ways to self-soothe. So it's a very gentle, safe and effective approach that we're using, and we're basing it on the understanding that chronic pain and other persistent symptoms are neuroplastic, and therefore we can reverse this. And we've been working in this field. SIRPA set up in 2010, so we've been going for 15 years, hence having trained over 500 health professionals now, health and wellness professionals. And the approach is evolving all the time, and obviously all the evidence is growing all the time as well. So we're basically working on biological, psychological, emotional and behavioural factors, and we're working on the physiological response to stress and trauma, okay? And we're teaching individuals to self-soothe and self-regulate the nervous system, because these neuroplastic symptoms are driven by fear, and it's a primal part of the brain is actually protecting us from a perceived threat. Now, physiotherapists and other physical therapists are concerned that sometimes it's this outside scope of practice. Psychotherapists and counsellors have this fear that we're stepping on their toes. We're working on the physiological response to stress and trauma. We're not going deep into talking about trauma. If a client does have significant trauma and requires further help, then we do have SIRPA-trained psychotherapists and counsellors like Carol is here, and we would refer on to somebody like that. We're very hot on preventing burnout with practitioners, working within our scope of practice, and ensure that our practitioners and also our patients are safe with the work that we're doing. Okay, so why might somebody enroll in SIRPA CPD courses? Again, I'm not going to speak through all of this. We're recording this, so I will share this recording to everybody who's registered anyway, so you can have a look. But it's really about how we can help people work using a very educational, self-empowering and emotionally focused approach. And we very much use some somatic approaches. I'll talk a little bit about each course in a little while, but it is very much about personal and professional transformation. Hence, people often start the training having been through their own personal journey, and why our level 1 now is an experiential course. It's basically a copy of our original level 1, our original patient recovery program, because this is, I think we become better practitioners when we really embody it and understand this on a personal level. So you're learning as much in this updated level 1, that was updated last year, as the original level 1, even though that wasn't experiential. There's a lot of evidence base in there, a lot of strategies, resources, and it's about working through it experientially. Okay. So we're aiming to build a safe and effective practice. So as I said before, it needs to be safe for the client and the practitioner. We have, wait a minute, previous slide. We have eligibility criteria for level 2 and level 3, and we'll come on to that. We very much ensure that our practitioners are working within scope of practice. So this is why this is not a professional qualification, it's a continual professional development course. This is why we carefully, in the title, say CPD courses for all 3 levels. This is why we have eligibility criteria to ensure that if somebody is doing this work, they're doing it from the basis of their own professional qualification, and they're building their scope of practice by doing this training. Okay, and they're learning to address the physiological response to stress and trauma. So we have a membership. When people start level 2, they can sign up to a 2-month free membership, so they can really get to grips with what's offered on the membership. And there's loads and loads of benefits on this that you can see from the sales page. We remind people every now and again about what's actually included. But it's about keeping up to date. This is why only members are allowed to be listed on a website, because we know that they are up to date, okay? Because there are criteria that we have an annual declaration, so that every year everybody has to do certain CPD. It's not a significant amount, but we want to know that people are engaging with our community, or at least doing some of the work, because work is evolving all the time. We offer some business and practice support, and again, I'm not going to go through this at the moment, and about building professional confidence. We do monthly CPD webinars, and we have various specialists, and in fact, we've got one coming up that is about building professional confidence, which is another one we've had before, but this is actually really helping practitioners who find that it's challenging to suddenly set up a business and be visible, and getting out there and being visible. It can be challenging, especially if we have that typical personality traits that can end up with more likely to have stress-induced symptoms. So as I said, we do a lot of peer support. These are our CPD weekends that we've had. I realise that we just had one in November. We haven't put a photo there, but these are all CPD weekends that people can come to. We have a day of workshops where people can start reinforcing what they're learning, maybe learning a few new things, but basically really reinforcing it and expanding their understanding of this work. As well as a big part of this is about community, getting to know people, spending time and really getting to know bodies that you can work with, and just really knowing that you are part of a community. And this is a really well-loved part of our work, is that there aren't, in this field, there's nowhere else where there's such a big community spirit. We have a really wonderful community. So this is an annual thing that we do. This is just showing, the membership board, SIRPA's membership board. So this has been going for, Carol is on it. Is it going on for 5 years now, I think?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, 5 years. So this was actually taken last summer, where we actually had a CPD, a board meeting in London, because we're all north and south in the UK, where we all get together and we plan things that are coming up, whether that's the conference, whether that's the CPD weekend. SIRPA's not me. SIRPA is very much got groups of people behind us that are really working, and I couldn't do this without this group of people. In fact, we've just had another board meeting. Carol is currently in New Zealand, as is Tanya, who's also on our membership board, either side of me there. They're both in New Zealand, and they both joined us for our board meeting. So we started early on Saturday, and you stayed up, I think, till midnight, both of you, didn't you, Carol? So it meant we could, that everybody could be included in this, as we then, this time, were predominantly planning for the CPD weekend in November, to really try and make sure is we're having had feedback all the time. We get feedback from our members. What is it they want? So we're really trying to plan around that, and that will be coming out shortly. We also have an advisory board that's been on the go for about 18 months now, covering the sort of business, the legal, the accountancy side of things. And that, again, has been really, really helpful over this last 18 months to look at SIRPA moving forward, because there's no doubt we're heading for a tipping point. There's a lot going on, and we need to have people with vision to take us to that next level. So this is about looking at that and how we can transition SIRPA moving forward. So this is moving forward, basically building on the foundations and leading a flourishing and thriving field of mind-body medicine in the UK, bearing in mind that we are part of a global movement. SIRPA was set up actually the year before the ATNS, the Association for the Treatment of Neuroplastic Symptoms, which is the American organization. But we're very much all working together globally for this field to evolve. We now have a group in Holland, we have a group in Israel, and other countries in Europe are also moving forward with their plans as well. So the aim is to help influence system change within mainstream medicine, and I presume if you're here, you recognise that there's a real need for this. And to challenge the status quo and basically drive innovation. And the evidence is there now. It's really just trying to just get this paradigm changed, and just keep driving with this. And we want to improve patient outcomes worldwide and help to shape the future of healthcare together. Okay, so what I want to do is just quickly look at level 2, so eligibility criteria. We'll go through a little bit of I want to do this so people could recognise where they might fit. So this is SIRPA informed. So we have level 1, 2, and 3. They all are sequential. Somebody cannot go in and then just do level 3, because I've been asked this before, and quite often they may be well up on the Lorimer Moseley and the pain science, but actually not have much of an awareness about the trauma or emotional side of it. And that really is where the experiential side comes in. That's really effective. Helpful to actually understand it ourselves. So for level 2, you could be a qualified health and wellness professional, as well, and again, health and wellness, not just a health professional. So you could be a Pilates instructor, a massage therapist, another complementary therapist, a coach, mental or physical health professional. Everybody needs to be a qualified health and wellness. Sorry, I've done that. Actually, we've said that for level 2, I put this in by mistake, they don't necessarily have to be regulated by a professional body, but you do need to be insured, have public liability insurance. Okay. So levels 1 and 2 will equip students to identify clients who are experiencing stress-related pain And this is obviously with medical tests, having seen professionals help rule out those where it's not a neuroplastic condition, or maybe it's part of it. It will help provide resources, tools, and knowledge to educate clients about stress-related pain symptoms, the whole concept around it and what we're aiming for, and how to do it within the student's scope of practice. So again, this is really important, that we don't want anybody going out there and being at risk or putting their students at risk. So it's about enabling the student to understand when to signpost to another practitioner as well. Okay, level 3, this is where it is, they have to have completed level 1 and 2, and they need to be a recognised health professional. So it could be doctor, physio, osteopath, counsellor, psychotherapist, or a coach who's actually undertaken a minimum of 6-month qualification that included case studies and supervision, because we need to know that they've had some clinical experience as well. They need to be regulated by a professional body and also have public liability insurance. These eligibility criteria are checked at the start of level 2 and level 3. Nobody can access level 2 and level 3 until they've submitted through the course their certificates to demonstrate they have completed the previous course and their whatever the eligibility are here, so professional certificate or the public liability, etc. Okay, so level 3 will actually equip students to work with clients who need additional therapeutic support with the emotional and psychosocial roots of their pain, again within the student's professional scope of practice. So as I said before, if somebody's had significant trauma or mental health problems, it may be that they want to be speaking to one of the SIRPA practitioners who's more experienced, or somebody who's has a mental health qualification. We also have fantastic clinical supervisors. We've got 5 clinical supervisors. Carol is one of those. And again, some psychotherapists, we've got physio, we've got a hypnotherapist, all externally trained clinical supervisors who are also qualified SIRPA practitioners. So they really understand this work, and they will support and help people with any decisions they need to make, and whether even deciding whether they are outside the scope of practice or what they could do with a client that maybe they're having challenges with. So course outlines, and I think I'll get to the end maybe and show you the actual sales page, because then I can show you where some of the additional information is. I've given a brief outline at the moment. As I said, level 1 is an experiential introduction to the pain science, the mind-body concept SIRPA uses, and providing resources to students so that you going through it can practice yourself as well. And it's so helpful. I know Carol and Sarah and I absolutely use this work, and I would end up with symptoms again if I wasn't actually walking the talk. And I think it's really important to recognise this. This is not about resolving chronic pain. This is about dealing with the day-to-day stresses and the big things that come our way as well, and knowing that we have something that we can do to help ourselves as well, and to really understand and recognise the signs and be able to work on ourselves. So level 2, a more in-depth understanding of the pain and the trauma science, studies and resources to enable students to be able to educate and advise clients within their scope of practice, and to signpost for further support when necessary. And level 3 is where the clinical side comes in, how to bring this therapeutic approach into their clinical work safely, and again within scope of practice. I know I've written that a lot, but it is so important. We need to make sure that all practitioners are feeling safe, and part of that is working within their scope of practice. So here are some of the questions that we've got, some of the common questions that we are asked. I think just before we do that, let me just, can you see the course here? Yeah, the sales page here. So if you go to, there's various information going down here. If you want further information about each level of the course, you can basically click and find out more here. It gives you a really good outline, a summary. It shows you what you'll learn, and then it gives you, there you go, a module breakdown, what's in each module as well. Okay, so you can go into each of the courses there to get a good understanding of what's included. And at the bottom, there's also frequently asked questions. Okay, So as I said, some of these questions are, most of these questions are actually on that page, but it's also always worth reinforcing it because these are often the questions that are asked. And Carol, Sarah, if you want to jump in at any point, put your hands up or just let me know. Carol.
George, just to let everybody know, I have put a link to the courses in the chat box, so people go in that way if they want to as well.
Lovely. Lovely. Thank you very much. Okay, so are the courses all online, and do I have to be in the UK to do them? So yes, they are all online. Everything is online. You can access them from wherever you are in the world on whatever device you are on. The CPD certification is a UK qualification, so you wouldn't a certificate, so you wouldn't be able to, it wouldn't mean much if you're in another country. But certainly in the UK, this is we use the CPD certifications company so that you can show that you have the hours. How long will it take me, and how many hours will I need to do a week? That is completely up to you. Okay. There is no deadline. I think I've already said to you that you can't go straight to 3. You need to do 1, 2, and then 3. There is no deadline. So some people, life happens, doesn't it? Shit happens. And then you may well have to go back, take pause and do something else. You might do another course and then come back to it. It doesn't matter. You've got access to these. As long as you can show your eligibility for the courses, you have access for as long as we have the platform. We did move platform once, many years ago. And we gave everybody the option just to move to the other platform. When we updated all the courses, we didn't charge any of the practitioners for the new courses. We want people to improve their CPD. We want people to continue their learning. And so we actually just added those courses onto everybody's profiles on Uzemna so that they could continue their learning on those courses. The CPD hours are something like 25 hours for level 1, 22 for level 2, and then 50 for level 3, partly theory, partly case studies. But this is just the reading. Okay, we can only include for CPD just the actual time it takes you to listen to the videos or read the PDFs or whatever. And so how long this takes is up to you. And I would be concerned if somebody took only 25 hours to go through level 1 because it's an experiential course. And so this doesn't include all the experiential stuff that you're going to do yourself and starting to really practice this. There are also additional links on most of the modules where you can actually go off and find more information and go in more depth in certain areas. So again, that's in addition, and this is an additional choice if anybody actually wants to learn a little bit more about something or look into it a bit more. How many hours a week you do depends on how many hours you have. Somebody who's working full time, who has a family, maybe they're only going to manage a couple of hours a week. Some other people maybe doing part-time work might be able to put a day a week into it. Again, it's completely up to you. The only deadline that we actually have, which is a sort of soft deadline, is that we say when people have completed the theory of level 3, they need to do their case studies. And thanks, Carol, I'll come to you in a moment. They need, within a year of completing the theory of level 3, they need to have completed their case studies. Now, as I said, life happens. Sometimes that's not necessarily possible. So if that happens, then we would just say, get in touch with us. Because if somebody has still been attending CPD webinars and peer support, and we know they've been doing maybe another training in our field, then that means that's fine. If somebody's gone off for a year or two and not been doing this work at all, we would suggest that they actually update themselves by going through the level, maybe level 2 and level 3, before they then start doing case studies. So it's not a definite no, it's just to make sure that people are up to date and they're not going to just have sort of a 5-year break and then do case studies. Okay, Carol, did you want to say something?
Just a couple of things here, a couple of questions from people in the chat box. Louise is asking, does the course meet live or do you do them in your own time?
Okay, so all the training is online, when it comes to the peer support or buddying up with someone, that again is out of those hours, and that's up to you. So with the peer support, so I haven't said much about that yet. We have lots of opportunity for peer support. We have two that we do. One on I think it's the fourth Thursday morning at 9 o'clock, where we have a peer support group, and any members could join that. We have an afternoon, and you can become a member from level 2. We have once a month on the first. Was it Wednesday? It moved, I think, Wednesday evening. So that's two basically that we do for the whole membership. We have professional occupational groups. So we have a group of physiotherapists that meet once a month. We have, I think it's once a month, a group of psychotherapists and counsellors, a group of occupational therapists. This is run by the groups. This was set up a couple of years ago, where we really were looking for the membership to actually start moderating these groups and setting them up. So those peer groups, we have various other occupational ones as well. We encourage people to buddy up, and we will be having, if anybody does sign up with this, obviously the 15% offer we've got at the moment, we will be having a webinar in a couple of weeks, so you can meet some of the other students, and then you can maybe get to know people, buddy up, or even set up a WhatsApp group so you can all link up. The face-to-face stuff that happens, not face-to-face necessarily, but the work as far as the level 1, 2, 3, yes, it's all online, but when you do your case studies, obviously that's you doing your case studies with individuals. It could be online, it could be in your own clinic, and then the supervision is something that you would have, you would book yourself. Okay, does that answer the question? Yeah,
hopefully. And Linda's asking, can you give an example of a particular exercise or exercises we might use or teach clients to use that might be different from standard breathing exercises or things like TRE?
Go on then, Carol. Would you like to discuss?
There's such a lot. This might also help you, Carolyn, as well, with your question of how much overlap would you say there is with psychotherapy in the course. What we find is we use quite a bit of things like emotional processing, somatic experiencing, awareness, compassionate inquiry, the parts work. There's so much comes into this course that it's very difficult to kind of express in a Q&A session like this. You can go as deeply with this as you want to go, but I have to say that my experience as a psychotherapist, it absolutely blew my mind. It really allowed me to open up conversations with clients. It also added so much more to me personally as well. So I guess in answer to the question is, there is some psychotherapy in the course. There are different modalities that are brought into this so that we have a good overview. It's experiential, as Georgie said. If you do decide to take up the training, I will really encourage you to have a buddy. I did that. I've got a buddy for life, and she's a physio, so we come from two very different backgrounds. So for me, this was really developed myself and also my practice towards clients. So does that answer the question?
Thank you, Carol. I wonder if it's worth, Sarah, do you want to say something from your perspective as a physio?
Yes, I was also just thinking if people just wanted an example of some, there are some of the free strategies, aren't there, on YouTube? If you just search under SIRPA, there's certainly the pause. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yep. Sorry, there's the pause, breathe, feel, reassure. There's an emotional awareness, which has some explanation and then a practice. So I think that might be good to go to just to see how we work. But yes, for me, I actually did the online client program first. So I learned a lot of strategies. I did some one-to-one sessions with a SIRPA practitioner and resolved a back pain of 30 years. So I put them into practice, and once you put something into practice and it works for you, it's very easy then to go on and believe in something and work with it. So I think the level 1 really brings that in now.
Yes, it does.
Gives
It's
people a good
basically,
taste. Yeah.
a copy of the online recovery program for the public. Yeah. Yeah. And you were the same as well, weren't you, Carol?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
It really broadens your your outlook on things as well. Sorry, I'm just keeping an eye on the questions which are coming in thick and fast as well.
Because I can't see them while I'm sharing my screen. So when you finish, I might just quickly go through a few, and then we'll unshare so that I can see everybody as well.
Okay. Do you want me to leave them for now? Yeah.
Yes. Let's come back to those then. Yeah.
Sorry if I'm sounding a bit vague, people, but I was trying to multitask badly.
Well, I was just going to say, having recovered from chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia yourself, you ended up doing this training, and now you are one of the SIRPA's ambassadors for chronic fatigue syndrome. So I was going to mention that. So what are the requirements about undertaking case studies? So we only ask for 5. This is once you finished all the theory on level 3, then we just ask for 5 case studies and 5 clinical supervision sessions. So this is one of SIRPA's clinical supervisors, and it's really supportive. It's they have your back, and they're there to guide, support, and really help you as you're working through those case studies. And you don't have to just have 5. In fact, because they've proven to be so valuable, it is actually now a part of our membership for SIRPA informed practitioners. 2, which is not many, but 2 clinical supervision sessions are required annually, and 4 for SIRPA practitioners. And many practitioners book them anyway, because we all face challenges in our work, and it just means that you've got somebody who's got your back to help discuss this with you. There is an extra cost for the clinical supervision, and this is because some people don't have clinical supervision for months and months, and so therefore it's about waiting until you need to do that, until you need to pay it, and then you can pay it individually once you've chosen your practitioner. And yes, you find your own case studies. Having said that, we do have the directory. So members are able to, once you've completed level 2, you can be listed on our directory. We're actually having a new website in a few weeks, and there'll be one directory again, and everybody will be listed there. And if you are looking for case studies, we make it very clear that you're looking for case studies. Usually we suggest people offer less if you're doing a case study, because then people who actually can't afford it, they're more likely to then be keen to actually be a case study. So, but we also help people with look at how can you get yourself out there? How can you reach out to case studies? What can you do as far as your own practice in order to be able to encourage people to come to you for this work, and to start looking at being a potential case study? Can you pay over a few months? Yes, we do a 3-month and a 6-month payment plan for the courses, and the additional costs are basically just the supervision and membership, because membership is a choice, and people can sign up to the free 2 months, and whether you continue or you stop is completely up to you. Okay, so I'm going to stop the share now because oh, wait a minute, somebody's joined the waiting room. Right, okay, that's better. So now I can see the questions as well. Okay, so okay, where are we going back to? I can see what you mean, Carol. Okay, so we've asked with Louise, does the course meet live? Generally, that's why I'm doing a webinar, a group webinar for everybody who signs up in this offer that we're doing. And that's just giving you an opportunity to get together, to meet each other, and to ask me any questions that you have, or anybody else. Maybe Carol will be joining us. Yeah, and then you can, some of the groups who've joined before have then set up a WhatsApp group, so they've always got somebody they can reach out to. But there are, as I said, loads of other peer support opportunities as well. Where are we at? Do SIRPA practitioners tend to work face-to-face or online? I think these days, would you agree, Carol, Sarah, most work online. But some actually do work face-to-face. So a lot do both, but I think post-pandemic, the majority actually also now do online.
I think online, I mean, it's allowed me to work from New Zealand during the winter. So for me, it's been absolutely life-changing.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, if anybody who's has only just joined, we are recording this. So everybody will send a link anyway if you want to actually then have a look at it and see the bit of the presentation that's been missed or any of the questions. How many SIRPA members practitioners are there, and how fast does it feel like this approach movement is growing?
It's great.
I think, first of all, we have certainly trained over 500 people. I think the membership is around about 100, I think, the ongoing members at the moment. It was tough, I have to say. When I came across this in 2007, it was tough. It has really picked up. The fact that it's been so busy since our conference, I think the conference last year, everybody agreed there was a change. There was a real change in that even though we had international people at previous ones, it felt like there was a huge amount of collaboration. In fact, I was talking to somebody today who said she's part of a group of 70 people who post-conference or whole part of SIRPA decided to get together, and they share loads of studies and articles and things like that. So I definitely have noticed a difference in the last couple of years, and I think it's going to just continue to grow. I've certainly been in talks with the CEO of the Chartered Society of Physiotherapy, and that's a real positive as well, looking at how can we start really getting this work out there. So we've not only that, but the way I can, apart from just thinking how busy I am in the office with Katie who helps me, I think it's really showing by how many podcasts there are now, how many books are being published, how many articles that are being published, how many studies are being published. I mean, Faye, you've been following this for a long time, haven't you?
I have.
You've seen
And there have been various reasons why I haven't been able to focus on it, which I thankfully now can. But I mean, from 2018, I think 2019, I started to follow SIRPA because of what I'd read of the Dr. Sarnos chap. And I've been sort of watching, and from nobody knowing about it, now more people are hearing. And then I saw that article the other day in Saga, then I see that you're on television and all that kind of thing. So I've been watching it grow, and it's been fantastic because it is something I feel that people, they don't understand it, but I think when you have more articles, more case studies where people are coming forward and saying this is what happened to me, and that's why I want to get involved, not because I'm a practitioner or anything like that, but I have helped people just by pointing them in your direction or with the books.
Absolutely.
And it's very difficult for us because they say, yeah, well, whatever. And I said, no, seriously. And I told you, I fell and I couldn't get up. I mean, I had chronic back pain like you wouldn't believe. And just getting to understand what this was all about and reading your own book has been life-changing for me. And I haven't even done the course yet. But I'm lucky. I have a sister who's a doctor of Oriental medicine, but I understand how powerful this is and what you can do. And I think with the tools that SIRPA offers, it's a game-changing, definitely.
It is, and what I love about it is it's a game changer for us as individuals. Whether somebody in the public who would benefit this, or whether it's a practitioner, it is life changing. It's completely changed. My health and well-being. It is challenging because we're trying to change a paradigm, but we're moving further. There's no doubt about it. And the more and more studies we have, the better. Now, I can't say it's easy yet, but we're getting there slowly but surely. There's movement. There's no doubt about it, and it's changing that paradigm because many people. I had somebody who asked if they could just do level 3. Because there were physio who'd done, the Noy courses, the Loma Mosley courses, etc. But none of that included anything about trauma, about neuroplasticity. Well, I think it was beginning to get there about the neuroplasticity, they weren't there as far as the emotions, unresolved emotions and trauma. That's the main thing that is missing. And I have to say that when I was talking to the CEO of the Chartered Society of Physiotherapy, it was last year, I just said to him, I was shocked having run workshops for NHS pain management groups because they didn't know. There was one out of a couple of dozen of each of them that I went to who knew what neuroplasticity was. One of a couple of dozen who knew who Lorimer Moseley was, who's one of the leading pain scientists in the world. And if, as far as I understand, if you're going to be specializing in chronic pain, you should know the leading pain scientists. And they also had no understanding of how trauma was linked to the development of chronic pain in later life. I find that really sad at this day and age. Yes, they were more up with the lifestyle changes, which we include. We look at the lifestyle as well as personality traits, as well as behaviors, beliefs. There's a wide area of things that we help people with, because it depends really. Each individual is different. It may be that somebody has experienced trauma, or maybe it's big T trauma, little t trauma, maybe it is developmental trauma. There are different types of trauma, but we're working on, in the present moment, if they've been triggered, what's happening now, and helping them develop more of an emotional awareness. I'm not aware of anybody in chronic pain management groups, for example, who are aware about the need to develop our felt sense. And yet the lack of felt sense is highly linked, through studies shown, highly linked to fibromyalgia, other chronic pain conditions, and other health problems. So we need to be working on that. And if unresolved emotions are driving a lot of chronic pain, then as we become more aware of how we're feeling, it can only help.
But I think also helping people to go back to those places, because some people think, oh, well, I've got over that. And so they don't marry up the two thing. And I think what the course did, and I know I started it, obviously I didn't finish, but I'm going to start it. What it started to do was to get you to really
to look at the timeline
and look at the because some things are deep. And I think sometimes they come back in a funny kind of way when you're ready to cope with it.
And it's more about dealing with how our body's responding, not necessarily, to work safely with how your body's responding if there has been something significant, because the more we show our body that we're safe, then the easier it gets, and those neural pathways just calm down. Okay, let's just look at a few others here. So this is Christopher, currently working as an adult community nurse. Would I be given help with arranging private liability insurance? And also I'm at the end of being almost pain-free myself. Well done. About 90% there after being helped by Dr. Schubiner, Fab, amongst other TNS practitioners. Would you say it's too early yet to engage on level 1? No, because level 1 is an experiential course, and it will help you with all the work that you've already done, Christopher. So good for you. Well done. And it's interesting because we take people on to help us who are on their journeys. We don't expect them to be absolutely fine. Adam Lomax, who does our social media, I was talking to him the other day. He's absolutely fine now, but he had about 10 years of fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, and was in a really dark place. And he started working for SIRPA doing social media. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago now, and he was about 60% better. He's absolutely fine now, because this work, you're immersed in it and you're going to be helped by all this understanding. So I think great, and well done for getting as far as you have, Christopher, and it will only reinforce it, I would suggest. Zoom user says, is anyone practicing this approach in the NHS? Yes, we have various doctors, GPs who are working in the NHS, but we have a huge group of doctors who are in a WhatsApp group who will discuss this as well, and are looking at how can they help get this more recognised. We also have quite a few physios who work in pain teams, and interestingly, the teams that I went and ran workshops for were where a couple of our practitioners work. And I think they were just sort of really keen to get everybody to start opening up more. So it's more of a challenge. There's no doubt about it. It's more of a challenge working in the NHS. Having said that, there are some people who are it depends where you're working, doesn't it? I know one of our practitioners works in a chronic pain team, and they allowed her to start running groups. And then she did her case studies from some of those people who were really interested, who then were keen to be case studies. And all her case studies came from this group that she was allowed to run, because they then allowed her to do one-to-one work with them. So it does depend, but obviously it's a little bit easier if you are giving people longer and you are able to, or you're with an NHS team that actually gives you a bit more, allows you to do a bit more than you would normally. So is there a crossover with somatic therapy? There's not a difference. It's as far as we do somatic work, but it's like pain reprocessing therapy. That's part of what we do. Somatic work, we do provocative testing, we do somatic tracking, we do emotional awareness. Yeah, that's all somatic work. But again, it's part of what we do. We then actually include work on visualization, work on journaling, self-compassion, loving kindness, helping people look at how are they creating self-induced stress because of their learned beliefs, behaviors, personality traits. So can you see that that is an aspect of what we do, but it is only an aspect of it. But having said that, Carol and I went on and did an embodied processing course that actually is more working somatically with past trauma. So people can then go on and do other training if they want to. Some people go on and do coaching if they're a physio, or even you did a coaching course, didn't you, Carol? So there are various courses. Some people do the PRT course, some people do internal family systems. So, this is about just building your toolbox and your understanding. So Amelia just joined, wanted to do the course, any chance for instalments to pay? Yes, we do 3-month payments, 3 monthly payments and 6 monthly payments. So you can apply the 15% discount that's on the landing page that Carol added in, and you can apply that to either the payment straight off or a payment over 3 or 6 months to break it down for you. Jen, I think you mentioned that supervision would be additional costs at this point at the point of level 3. Is it possible to provide the typical cost? Yeah, it's £65 for a session. Okay, and the minimum required is 5. Carol's one of our practitioners, and I said we've got 5, all of whom are externally trained clinical supervisors, but they're also very experienced SIRPA practitioners. Once somebody is a member, they don't have to work and have done their case studies and they're a SIRPA practitioner, they don't have to work with a SIRPA practitioner. For example, if you're a psychotherapist and you already have supervision, then that would be your required supervision. You wouldn't have to book in with one of our clinical supervisors. It's only for the case studies we need you to use a SIRPA one. Which coaching diplomas does SIRPA recognise in relation to criteria for applying for the courses? What I would suggest, Glenda, is that you email me tomorrow and I will send you, I have, I think, 4 links to different companies. One is the Mind Body Food Institute in Australia. But yeah, I think I've got about 4 links. So if you email me, I'll send you something. Any other questions? Has that helped so far?
I just was trying to type, but I don't know, I couldn't quite get my words out. Typing. I'm a physio, but probably do more Pilates-based work now. I followed you guys for years, actually. I know Matt Kinnell, the Bristol-based guy. And it's been on my radar to do some of your CPD for ages. Anyway, and I often get kind of like, when you're a physio, I'll often look at someone, for example, with extension-related back pain, and I will look at trying to improve maybe their hip extension, maybe their upper back mobility. So you can kind of get pulled into that biomechanical perspective of looking at things, but obviously things are much more holistic than that. Yes. So how does it have to be one or the other, or can you kind of weave it into also, yes, you can have these kind of holistic elements of understanding how their nervous system is processing things, but also improving their back mobility might also help their symptoms. Does that?
Yeah, it makes sense, and it's a common question. Obviously, you have to consider both. I would suggest talking to somebody like in Italy, Andriowska, who's a physiotherapist who uses, is she Pilates, Carol? Or certainly movement?
Pilates. She's a Pilates teacher and a physio, yeah.
What was her name, sorry?
Irily Andriowska. Don't ask me to spell it, I can write it. Do you want to share a link, please, Carol?
Yeah, just bear with me.
But I think as a physio who does Pilates, Irily would be a good one to talk to. I know, Sarah, you've offered to talk to anybody who would like to ask any questions after this as well. So if you want to put your email in, so Sarah being a physio, Carol, I'm sure you'd be happy to answer any questions, presumably.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I'm just trying to find how to spell Irily's name as well.
But I think it is about a shift in mindset, Birgit. And I followed Irily's journey with real interest because she definitely was a physio, very interested in, she's a dancer, she's interested in the physical, biomechanical side. And I think it's interesting watching people's journeys because it's almost like, well, this is neuroplastic, this isn't, or the more you start doing this work, the more you start realizing that you cannot split the mind and body. Okay, it is always going to be interconnected. You cannot just work on the back pain, let's say exercises, to fully resolve this if there's an underlying emotional issue. Okay, or there's a pattern linked to emotions and past trauma or unresolved stuff. Having said that, you can completely resolve back pain and loss of movement by doing the emotional work. But many physiotherapists and other physical therapists combine. You don't have to go from nothing to from all physical to all mind body work at all. And we have practitioners who really combine the both. So it's really how you want to go moving forward. It's more about your understanding and the way you explain it to patients that I think is more important.
Okay. And then I guess my only other thing that I love following the some of your practitioners who have been through it themselves. They've had a personal journey of it. I think that's really powerful. I haven't had an experience of chronic pain. I've definitely had stress in my life, but it's never come out as pain.
Yeah.
I mean, how's that likely to kind of impact then your kind of skill set as a practitioner, I suppose, and
think
how you come across? And
this is why it's experiential, because I think you will start to see the impact for you. It may not be pain, it may be nausea, it may be slight dizziness. I mean, who hasn't had a headache or an intolerance to something or hypersensitivity or whatever? We've all had something, because the mind and body is one. You just can't split it. So I think you will start to notice more about yourself, and that will then help you when you're working with clients, which is why I think it's so important to do this experiential work first of all.
Okay.
But I'm sure you and Irily would have a really interesting conversation around this.
Okey-dokes. Oh, there's a little one that needs me.
Hello. Mary.
Thank you. Apologies, I'm just sitting in the car in the dark, so it does look like I'm a bit ghost-like. Thank you for the presentation. It was really interesting. I work as a GP, and I think you probably already answered this question in your presentation, but in terms of kind of other symptoms beyond kind of chronic pain, so things like chronic fatigue, obviously fibromyalgia comes under there, but things like IBS, other kind of medically unexplained symptoms, is this a course that's appropriate to kind of help patients with those? Yeah.
I think initially we started with chronic pain because I'm a physiotherapist, and also marketing wise, it was easier to focus on something. The more we're doing this work, the more people are coming and asking about other symptoms that are persistent. And you're right, it's every system in the body. Yeah. It's functional disorders, it's medically unexplained disorders, every single system in the body, blurred vision. Globulus hystericus is called, tightening in the throat. All these different symptoms. What people don't do is think, what's going on in my life?
Yeah.
Suddenly getting high blood pressure. Why?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great, thank you. That's really helpful.
Yeah, you're welcome. And some people do specialize in certain things. Like we have, one of our US colleagues is a guy who recovered from pelvic and sexual pain, and he now is a specialist. I've just referred somebody to him today, a man who is having severe pelvic pain. So actually, although maybe I should have referred him to a SIRPA practitioner, sorry, I actually chose Michael because he specializes in this.
And he'd been through it.
Yeah, he'd been through it himself. And there are others who specialize in dizziness, for example. Okay, so people or female health, everybody's often or teenagers chooses their different people they work with. I just want to go back to Linda's talk as well. Sorry, Caroline, I'll come back. Is there any research or practice yet on this work on pain related to long COVID? There is. Michael Donino in America has done some work, and I think it's Howard's lot doing it. Carol's busy looking now.
Yeah, they are indeed. There's a lot. Yeah, there is a lot out there. Yeah,
and certainly Michael. If you Michael Donino, who's one of the US guys who does this, who's done studies into this sort of psychological approach, they call it. I bet it's similar to what we're doing. They have shown really good results with long COVID, and there's so much more going on. There's the Coffee Institute that's global, that's really working on the chronic fatigue, long COVID side, all fatigue conditions. That's big, and that's really growing. So yeah, definitely. And then who was it who wanted to say something? Oh, maybe somebody was saying goodbye. I think maybe she was saying goodbye. Any other final question before we close down? Was that helpful?
Yes, very.
Yeah, great. Okay, so we have the 15% discount code up on the website until I think it's midnight on Friday. So, and as I said, that will be the lowest price that we've got it until April, because April, I'm afraid, having had to go back registered last April, we've sort of just kept it the same until now, but we do need to raise the prices in April. So I just wanted to make sure, I didn't want to just do it so nobody knew what was, suddenly saying, oh, the prices are up. I wanted to give everybody an opportunity, if they wanted to sign up, to actually do it now. iPad, could you let me know the details of the American chap who deals with pelvic pain, please? Carol, do you want to look for the thing? It's Transform Pelvic Pain, is it? He's called Michael Hodge. He's fab. Okay, I think that's it then. I'll just let Carol find that link.
Thank you so much. I'm going to say good night.
You're
Lovely to
welcome.
see you,
Good
and
night,
well
Faye.
done. I feel really proud of you. I don't know. I know
Oh,
it sounds like a daft thing to say, but having watched with interest, it's it's good.
thank you, Faye. Thanks for
Okay, take
joining us
care.
anyway. Thank you
so
all.
much.